Hello, Mad Nation! It's Chalene Murphy from Beauty Sleep. I know, the lads are letting me be on their podcast too often now, see, you can't get rid of me. Casual little bit of promotion for an upcoming Beauty Sleep show this Friday, the 18th, at the Ulster Sports Club in Belfast. I'm so excited to play a show again. It's been far too long. Full band, party set, mon down if you want to have some fun. The amazing Sasha Samara is supporting. Doors are at 7. We're on at 9. Fairly early show, so you have a choice after to be like a super responsible and cool adult and go home and have a cup of tea and go to bed early, or you can party all night long afterwards. It's up to you, no pressure. But tickets are available online. It'd be lovely to see some of you down there, and I hope that you're having a wonderful time in 2022. Lots of love. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Bye.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello.
Let's get all the stuff out of the way first. Yes. Bit of housekeeping, as they say.
Housekeeping.
So we have a live date coming up.
We sure do.
Live show on the 19th of July.
First one in 3 years.
Is it really that long?
I think it's been 3 years.
Yeah, so that reminds me, I'll try and get the footage off Kira and see if we can get because we did record the very first one.
We did.
And from what I remember, it was a good night.
My memory of it was that it was also a great night. Let's not get caught in the weeds.
So the tickets will be in the description of this video. I imagine by the time we post this, everything will be ready to go.
Yeah. The date again is?
19th of July.
Which is a Tuesday night?
Yes.
Upstairs in the Sunflower.
Upstairs in the Sunflower. If you want to join us on Patreon, you can. That'll help pay for all this shit that we're trying to do and make it better. If you can't do Patreon, you can follow us on Mad Notion's Facebook group, the Mad Notion's Instagram, or the Mad Notion's Twitter, or our own socials, which are at Nathan O'Regan and at Son of the Hound. Boom! Done it.
We'll also be on TikTok soon.
You will.
Well, there'll be something.
On with the show.
On with the show. Can I give you a fun little thing that happened to me during the week, which I think isn't going to go anywhere, which is really annoying? So my handles for Instagram and Twitter is just at Nathan O'Regan, which you can see here. I probably got rid of it by now. It's on a timer. But whenever like new social media apps come out, this is going to sound mental, right? But I always, even regardless of if I have any intention of using it, I immediately sign up and get the handle, but I didn't do it for TikTok, and so somebody already has the at Nathan O'Regan handle. So I
time to debut Nate Regan.
So yeah, well I actually came up with what I thought actually was initially a thought for a good username, and then thought actually it might be a better name for a fun name for a cover band, because I never have one for pub gigs, and they're always giving out to me that I don't have a name for cover gigs, and so I came up with Nat Sing Soul.
That's good.
Thank you very much. Doctor.
On with the show.
Doctor. But so I found the guy that like has it. He's no followers, no videos, no posts, no fucking, isn't following anyone, right. Just has the handle. And so I fucking carefully wrote out this like message and was just being like, here, just chancing my arm, explain the crack, just kind of completely understand if you want to tell me to go fuck yourself, that's fine. And then sent it, and then was like, oh, apparently you can't send fucking messages to people that you're not friends with. So it's just like, I have no recourse to try and do this, and I'm just looking at this empty page. This fucking some prick named Nathan O'Regan just has my handle, and it's very upsetting. Didn't say it was a good story, I just said it happened.
Well, it could be somebody holding you ransom.
Well, you see, this is the thing, though. I don't want it that badly.
Yeah.
Because I could just as easily retroactively just go to my other ones and just make them the same as the TikTok one. It's just Nathan O'Regan Music. I also think that like I either need So I've been debating during the week. I was actually chatting with my mate Pete.
It's cool. It's grand. I only told you about several times I had an intro prepared, but you seem to want to get stuck straight into it.
That was the intro, no?
No, that was housekeeping. Did you look at the document? That was housekeeping, and then you go on with the show and into the intro. So I'm just going to fucking derail your stupid story about your TikTok handle and live for all the people who this may be their first episode. Okay. Welcome to
I'll put this
Notions.
at the start. There's no need to be upset about it.
No, there is.
I can just edit this.
Welcome to Mad Notions,
You're going to be
everyone.
really angry.
A podcast that, when plunged into existential despair during a global pandemic, decided to cast itself free from the shackles of a premise entirely and become what one of them always vowed it should never become. Two lads alone in a room talking about nothing. But they're not alone. They have you, the listener. And now, with YouTube views soaring into double figures, these brave and gallant heroes have transitioned smoothly from audio to visual. So smooth, in fact, most people haven't even noticed. Nevertheless, it seems the only way is up for Muck, fast approaching 35 and increasingly unsure if he's doing a bit or this is who he actually is. And Nathan, who, despite his low tolerance for bullshit, gets on surprisingly well with bouncers.
There you go.
There you go. Welcome to Mad Notions.
Gets on surprisingly well with bouncers.
I always think that about you.
Why?
Because you're like you
Only
find
the ones that I work with. Like.
Yeah, but like I mean, maybe I might be painting on a broad stroke here, but I do find bouncers have a high output of nonsense.
Yeah. But there's always like a head doorman who is sound. I find generally, like, as one doorman once put it to me. Who no longer, I think, even lives in the country. But I remember just one night after a particularly frustrating encounter with one of his staff, while I was working, I wasn't in drinking or anything. I was just like, he's a fucking absolute penis, man, isn't he? Like, he's just, well, like, why does he work here? Like, because he's a really nice, normal fella, and it was just like, it doesn't strike me like the kind of fella that you'd be dying to have. And he, which has always stuck with me, which is that he said, well, sadly in this line of work we don't have a long queue of Nobel Prize winners that are queuing up to sign up, which is kind of sad but true. But yes, friends with bouncers.
How was your week? Happy Valentine's Day,
Happy
lover.
Valentine's Day, sweetheart.
I went down. Me and Orla don't really do Valentine's Day. Do you do Valentine's Day?
As with most things that I find stupid and have very strong stances on, Margaret feels completely the opposite. And so we make a compromise and we just do what she wants.
Right. Yeah. So what are you doing this evening?
Nothing, I'm gigging. We're doing it tomorrow because...
so from what I can gather here, this Valentine's, Margaret just wants shot of you for the night.
Yeah, it's probably the best thing I can give her is just a bit of headspace. No, she's doing her masters at the minute, so she's got like 3 essays that are due around the same week as her due date. So she's trying to get them out of the road now, and then she has like a dissertation that needs done by September, and she's also trying to get that done before the baby comes, which is quite a feat. But so she was working anyway, and then she was meant to be up in town.
You're writing too loudly down there. I'm trying to edit a podcast.
It's all tick 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 tick. Fuck, you're upsetting the dogs. But
speaking of upset dogs, what'd you make of that video that I sent you earlier?
Which one?
Of me driving from Oma to Belfast.
Oh man, is that the whole way?
The whole way for the most of it.
I'm gonna right here insert what Mick sent me. So
yeah.
And now we're back. I wouldn't bring her, at least.
Yeah.
Is there an option to leave her here? I understand that you would like to bring your dog for a bit of crack and all, but...
You know what the most frustrating thing is?
The constant barking? Is it the constant barking?
So it's like, I open the boot and the wee kind of the cage is there and all her toys and her blankets and stuff, and I was like, we're going in the car, do you fancy in the car? She is amped up to get in the car. She's like, yes, let's do it. This time it's going to be different. And then you get in and she's just like, what the fuck did I do this for? You know, it's so annoying. She's like, the whole fucking time. And I threw a blanket over the cage, right? Just to fucking, I don't know, it's a bit of sensory deprivation I thought might sedate her. But turns out, you know what she did? She was like, she would grab a hold of the blanket through the cage and Pulling the blanket off, and then I'd like look in the rear view mirror and I could just see her eye up against the cage going, I can see you! I got rid of the blanket! Fucking hell.
I would drive into the nearest wall.
She got out of the fucking boot on the way down. Somehow she managed to...
Out of the cage?
Yeah, she managed to break free and through and into the front.
Willow did that once, as you saw, which is absolutely devastating to the lamps in my bedroom. Yeah.
So I was a bit hungover as well this morning, and I was driving like when I got back to Belfast, I was just fucking frazzled, and that's why I texted you. I was like, "Here, no rush.
Yeah.
I need to decompress."
Yeah. I completely understood immediately as soon as you sent me that video. I was just like, I don't know how. What do you do? Do you put something on louder than her, or like?
Actually, that just makes her worse. I realized.
She's like, you can't hear me.
I was listening. Yeah, I was like, this podcast sucks.
I've been trying to get your attention.
I put on something, and every time I would put it on, she would start again. So I had, like, for the moments of silence, it was just silence in the car, you know, and then I would, like, chance.
Does it stop at, like, a red light? Like, when the car stops, does it stop?
Any sort of change in circumstance, like, once you get on the motorway for a stretch, it's usually all right.
Every turn. Where are we going?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. It's like, you get her settled, and then you pull to a stop, and you're like, oh, Christ, here we go again.
I can't imagine. I just wouldn't bring her. I couldn't do it. How long is the drive to Oma from Belfast? About an hour and 20 or 30?
About an hour and 10.
All right. Splitting hairs here. About an hour and 17.
Well, I do it on a flat hour. I fucking floor it.
It's about an hour and 17. I after the first, I don't think I would have got outside Newry, like, or wrong direction, sorry. No, I wouldn't have even got outside my driveway. I couldn't have done that. That's the disadvantage, though, of not having had her since she was a pup. Because we've been very lucky with our two, generally. So if we're only going to like the park or something within like, so for about, if they're in the car for about 10 minutes, they'll be like that ish. They're not as bad. But like, yeah, I brought Samson, and just Samson actually. We didn't have Willow at the time, but we brought him to Cork, and after like 20 minutes, he was like, "Oh, I guess I'm just going to lie here for a bit," and he was cool. But they're in the car all the time. It's the one thing I'm really, really fucking feeling very fortunate about, especially after seeing that video. Jesus Christ, man. Here, can I tell you the story of the wildest thing I've ever overheard at a bar ever?
Go.
I actually forgot about this. This was in there last week, but I'd forgotten about it. So I won't name the bar. I was gigging in one of my regular spots, and there was a guy who had seen me. So this happens quite a bit where like I'll sit down or like arrive to a place, and somebody will be like, "All right, Nathan," and I'd be like, "Right, I've obviously spoken to this person before now, and they remember me more than I remember them." So it was one of those. Ended up gathering that he had been in, I think, like the Dirty Onion some Sunday that I was playing there, like a couple of weeks previous or something. So I was like, "Oh yeah, who's going?" And kind of jogged my. I was like, I do remember this guy. He was fine. He was dead on. So he's sitting at a table. So if I can paint the picture, in this bar in particular is the tightest on space I ever am. It was a bit better during the pandemic, but just as things have eased, they've basically, like, there used to be like, for a while there was a big foggy screen in front of me, and it was class because it was just literally, it was like people kept going like, "Do you not feel like really claustrophobic there?" I'm like, "No, it's brilliant. Can't see or hear any of you. It's wonderful."
Nathan's ideal gig scenarios. Do you ever watch The Gladiators and they have those big bubbles where they have to roll, just playing in one of them and people walk up to them and bounce off it for a request?
Matt Jones, actually. Do you know Matt Jones?
No.
He's an amazing solo actor in Belfast, and a good producer actually as well. But he used to be on before me in the Dirty Onion, and he wears in-ears for his for just what he does. He's a lot of stuff on, like, he loops a lot of stuff, and it's actually kind of a cool way to do it if you can get used to it. But I said to him, because singing with in-ears is really annoying, and I said to him once, I was like, "Is that really worth the hassle?" And he's like, "Well, for no other reason than they get out of jail every time, just sorry, I can't hear you."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, amazing." I did that to a girl in the Dirty Onion on Saturday, actually. Just, it's something I've always wanted to do but never did, where I started a song and she just was like, excuse me. And but I was playing Superstition, and everyone had started dancing, and everybody was really enjoying it, and she kept going and she did not fucking stop. I tried a few times to be like, "Hey," like nothing, and just stopped and was like, "What is it?" And she was like, what? And I was like, what was so important that is more important than 300 other people's happiness right now that are all dancing and enjoying themselves? What is it? Let's hear it. And she was like, just wondering if you take requests. Jesus. Anyway, so getting back to this. So it's very tight for space.
And do you?
I do. I'm not going to go into it. I'm very tight for space, right? So I'm in this bar. I'm very tight for space. And the way it's set up, I'm literally like, I couldn't reach out either side of me. Like I'm right in a corner, and then there's a table like right here that generally people don't sit in, but if they are there, I'll have like a lot of people's backs to me, like literally here, right there. So there's a table of 4 people sitting at the table, right? And it's a kind of like a dinner timey sort of gig. So it's not very. I'm sitting down. Everyone else is sitting down. Most people are having their dinner, and because of that, and because of by virtue of how close I am to them, I can essentially hear everything that they're talking about. And because gigs like that in particular for me, I find that I just go on to like autopilot a wee bit, and so I can pretty much tune in quite well to like what's being spoken about and carry on singing.
So you giving them a bit of music for their conversation?
do 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 do. Yeah, bit of fucking X-Files for the conspiracy guy over there. But so they're chatting away. Now, if I can set up who's at the table, right? So there's the guy that met me in the Dirty Onion, right? He is probably about mid-50s, right? And so there's 2 couples. He himself is mid-50s. The other couple is also made up of people who are of a similar age. But the girl that he's with is my age, right? Which is cool. So I gather as the chat is going on that he has recently left his wife for this younger woman, right? And this other
tale as old,
but just old enough. But the other couple,
right,
are obviously hangover friends.
Yes,
from the previous
oh
relationship.
Oh my God, say no more. This is excruciating already.
Wait, just you wait. So, Dirty Onion Boy is it seems a real fan of the anti-vax sort of conspiracy stuff as well. So he is constantly trying to bring that up, right? But the two, like,
good song, Superstition, love it. You know what else I'm superstitious about? Vaccines.
QAnon. But so now the other couple, like the amount of, like, this will really give you an insight into the amount of people watching that I do when I'm playing, right? So the other couple, I'm guessing from what I gleaned from overhearing all of this, I get the impression that the 2 men were friends, right? I think they probably go back longer than the wife of the other friend as well. So, and I just invented all this backstory.
I was
going to
say, like, just while he's playing music, just creating worlds around him.
In my mind, they had a conversation on the way down where the husband said to the wife, for me, please, we have to make an effort. He's my friend. I know you don't approve of what's after happening. Because the wife is sitting just like this the whole time. Right? And she's just trying her best now, in fairness to her, to make conversation and be polite, right? But so obviously the younger new girlfriend is trying her best to be like, we're the women at the table here.
Bloody men, am I right?
Literally.
That
like,
sort of
yeah,
stuff,
yeah. So every now and again, the 2 lads will end up getting into it about something, and you can tell that the friend is not confrontational at all. So your man's shouting on about conspiracy stuff and like masks and all the hits. And your man's going like, just saying as little as possible, hoping clearly that it will just move on to something
cold tonight.
Yes.
That sort of
just that sort of stuff. Just anything to move it along, but your man keeps bringing it back. And while this is happening, the younger girl is chatting to the wife, right? And she is just like such a roast. She's so annoying. Like, she's so annoying. I can't. She's literally just like, I was getting my nails done the other day, and then I was saying to the girl, it was just such nonsense. You could tell your one was just going, like, just having a stroke, like listening to her, just like, right? This goes on and on and on until in the middle of a sentence. So the younger girl is talking to the wife, and your man is also, so she's listening to the girlfriend, who doesn't obviously care about what the older boyfriend is saying. She's trying to listen to her, but also can hear the shite that he's gone on about. And she's just getting this, right? She's just getting this in stereo, right?
I feel like there's a table's about to be flipped here.
She's getting this. Now, I can't remember the guy's name, but I'm going to give him a name just to quote the next bit, right? So let's call him Brendan, right? Let's call him. It's always Brendan. Margaret really hates the name Brendan, so it's always there in my head when I go searching for a name. Anyway, sorry to all the Brendans, but I don't feel that way. So it's a
great name. It's a strong name.
Let's call him Brendan, right?
Brandy.
So she's just like, you know, and then I would say this and whatever, and he's just like, QAnon are cool, and all this is going on, right? And she, in the middle of both conversations, are in full flight, and she just goes, no. And so I'm playing, and I'm just like, I'm like, just still singing, like, Mama told me not to go. Right? And so I'm still singing while this is all happening, right? And she just goes, no. And so the husbands, or the men both go, because they weren't talking to her, and they go, you all right? And the girl is like, really, like, the younger one is like, what? And she goes, I can't do this. And then she goes to the younger girl, she goes, I can't deal with you. And the girl was like, sorry? And she goes, it's not your fault. She was like, and then she just turns to your man, Brendan, right? And she just goes, Brendan, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Right? She was like, what? She was like, and she's like, I hope you don't take offense to this. You obviously will, but this is not a reflection of you. You're fine. But what the fuck are you doing? She was like, you've just thrown your life away for this child. And then Brendan is like, well, fucking what? And she goes, and all the fucking far right conspiracy, like, what happened to you? What happened to you? Like, she was like, I can't listen to this. She was like, this is my night off, and I'm out for a fucking relaxing night. And the husband, then her husband is like, a real, like, there's a real look of like, you said you wouldn't do this, you know, right? But he's just all still non-confrontational
because he knows like if we're asking that, he knows that he's like, I need you. I understand, but I need you to, like, he knows that he doesn't have a foot to stand on.
Yeah. Like, there was a clear setup before they arrived. Like, I know you're going to hate this. It was a setup, obviously, like, I would just appreciate if you did this for me. And I mean, I was sitting there for 2 hours, and this happened with only like 20 minutes. So and they'd been there obviously before I got there.
She gave it a good effort.
She gave it a good shot. She really tried her best. And she was just like, all the fucking far right shit and all whatever. And she was like, your kids? She was like, you have kids older than her. Like, all this sort of stuff. It was just like, I was just like, oh my God. And then the husband was like, let's call her fucking Mary. He was like, Mary, come on. Like, don't be. And she was like, no, I can't. She was like, you can still be friends with him. I'm done. I don't want to be here ever again. I'm really sorry. Enjoy the rest of your life. She was like, I'm out. And got up and fucked off.
Fair fucking played her. That's amazing.
And I was like, and it was the longest tuning I've ever done. I was just like I just string keep just constantly getting higher, just
really increasing the tension and
it just snaps, you know. I was just like, I couldn't. And so then the two of them get up, right?
Oh, who? The two who? Sorry.
So
she leaves.
She leaves. The husband stays for a minute. The younger girlfriend goes to the bathroom. She's very like, she seems not, she's clearly probably upset.
Yeah.
But she's very like, fuck her then, and goes to the toilet, right? And the two boys are left at the table, right?
If they start knacking now, the story's
and one of them pulls out. But so the two lads are left at the table, and so Brendan is like, he's like, what the fuck's her problem? What the fuck's her problem? And he's like, clearly like obviously doesn't want to talk shit about his wife, so he's in a tough spot, and he just goes, look, I'll try have a chat with her. And he's like, I don't want you to fucking chat to her. He's like, that's it, she can fuck off. And
You're not allowed to talk to your wife anymore.
It's me or your wife who has provided for you and been your shoulder to cry on for the last 30 years. So who is it?
Yeah. Me and my QAnon buddies or your hot wife
who rides you and buys you chips. Who is it? And he just goes, and your man keeps trying to go like, he's while he's getting up and gathering his like, wallet and his phone and all, like, to leave and join his wife while they wait for a taxi, your man's going like, he's like, but you agree with me with the fucking, he's like going on about like masks and vaccines and all this, and he's like, aye.
And jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
He's literally just like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% on board.
And he's like, and then I had begun the next song then, but they had agreed that whatever plan they had made for a month's time was still on or something. And he was like, I'll see, I'll try and whatever, and then that was the end of it. But it was fucking the most hectic thing I've ever listened to. And whenever the girlfriend came back then, she was like, oh my god, she's such a bitch. Like, she was just like, she's fucking, and your man was like, she was always a cunt, I fucking hated her anyway, she's fucking bitch, she's fucking out, whatever. And she was like, you don't need them anyway, you've got me. But then they were left on their own, and you could tell that the older fella was just like, shut the fuck up. He was just like, he had no interest in her either. It was fucking devastating, man.
I'd say he was sitting there just going over all the choices that he made that led him to that point.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't deal with you right now. I'm going through my own shit. And this guy hasn't played a song for 20 minutes and he's been watching us the entire time. Are you alright over there? Do you need requests?
No strings left on the guitar. I've just broken them all, tightening them. But oh man, and so but they were there again last week, just the two of them, like with more
going
friends,
strong,
with more friends.
Oh right,
just other friends.
Yeah, her mates.
No, just some other.
They're like, sorry, what the fuck are you doing? He's so old. Your dad is his age.
It was so mental, man. I don't know. I'm all for. Yeah. There doesn't seem anything more of a stark indication of a midlife crisis, sadly, than throwing all the toys out of the pram, and fucking, divorcing the wife and trading her in for a fucking some young one, like no harm. And the girl seemed totally fine. Like, she was a nice girl. She wouldn't be my friend.
Not what you said a few minutes ago.
No, she was a pain in the hole, but she was harmless. You know what I mean? She was a nice girl. Like, she was just she wouldn't be one of my mates, but if she was like out and about, it wouldn't bother me. I just probably wouldn't go out of my way to chat to her. Like, but fucking hell, man, it was unreal. And then, like, whenever I saw them again, I just all came rushing back. I was like, I can't believe I forgot to fucking tell you that. So there you are.
Amazing.
There you are, guys.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was really, it was quite something.
For Valentine's Day.
I thought it was
for
quite
the day
apt.
That's in it.
It was apt.
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, well, this is the middle of April. What the fuck are these?
But as we've always said, time is a construct. Come on, guys, keep up. I forgot to fucking say in the housekeeping that all our older episodes are now on Patreon exclusively.
I actually forgot to check. That's what they're gone now.
They are, yeah. Should have said that on the top of the show.
For the next one, we'll record it again, and I'll use the same for the top for the both.
I was thinking, actually, because it's Valentine's Day, I was thinking to myself, we should really lean into it since we're spending Valentine's Day together.
Absolutely.
And I thought to myself, I was like, what A good question for Nathan is like, how would you, if we were going on a date, how would you woo me? Now, there's two ways you can interpret that question.
Knowing what I know about you.
Yeah, so it's like knowing what you know about me. What do you think I would enjoy as a date? And the second way is, what would you do to get, like, say it was our first date and you wanted to give me a good impression of you. What would you do?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So there's two questions there.
I'll take the first one then. So knowing everything I know about you, I would say, this is pretty off the hoof now, but I have been thinking about it, but I think you're quite a like a free-spirited sort of a lad, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which would concern me because I'm not.
Right.
But
we're like,
but you know when
you're Dharma and Greg.
Classic. Dharma and Greg. Fucking hell. I haven't thought of that. I haven't thought of those two words together in such a long time. We absolutely watch that all the time as well. I need to go watch some Dharma and Greg. What a name for a sitcom.
Yeah.
Dharma.
I think that wasn't the premise. He was like a kind of come from a wealthy family, bit of a stiff, and she was like a kooky, eccentric, come from nothing sort of.
Yeah. Who was in that again? Was it that red-haired girl?
No, it's...
that was in like a load of shit with like... No, it wasn't. No, I remember now.
Dharma was blonde.
Right. Yes.
And Greg was like dark hair. He just looked like your stock character that you get in The Sims, from what I recall. You know, when you've done nothing to like amend edit their features.
We're gonna drop in a little still of Dharma and Greg here. Boop. But so, but it's one of those things because it's like it's tough when you're like wooing someone, mm-hmm. because now it's obviously different here because I do actually know you, but like you're weighing up like, right, so because I've had friends do this in relationships before, like you don't want to give someone a false sense of who you are, mm-hmm. so you don't want to do stuff that you don't want to be giving them the impression that you're up for doing all the time, but also you don't want to you know, you're trying to, so I think things like foraging for mushrooms I think would be really high up there on your list. I think
consider me wooed.
Then we just take the mushrooms.
Let me just take my trousers down right now.
But I think like do you know what I think would be a fucking an absolute home run for you actually?
What? I
would take you to Streamvale Open Farm.
You know what? These are all interesting ideas.
Not a plug.
What's a stream? What's there? That's like Patton Farm, is it? Or
yeah, it's up like around Dundonald or something. But it's fucking it's cool. It's the kind of place that I would normally take children if we had to mind them for the day.
It's good to know what you think of me and my tastes. I mean, I did go see Jackass 4 in the cinema this weekend, so, you know.
I want to come back to that. But yeah, no, because like there's loads of like, well, my favorite bit of it, which I think would be the bit that you would enjoy the most, there's like, they have like a bit where there's like puppies that are going to be security dogs, mm-hmm. and they basically what your role as a member of the public is that they need you to like get the puppies so bored of people that they don't react to people essentially. Mm-hmm. So they encourage people to come in and pet the puppies and play with the puppies, whatever. But like, so you can literally just like go in and just play with puppies all day, like, which is me and Margaret have done sometimes before we got dogs.
This is a good date, Nathan.
I think so.
I feel I can feel myself falling for you on this fictional date already.
And then there's another area where you can go and you can feed animals, and they give you like a little bucket full of like just scraps of veg, like bits of cabbage and all that sort of stuff. And you can go and
pocket it.
You can pocket it.
Them animals they're bottomless bits. We need another bucket in here. Maybe 2.
Any chicken stock? But so you can like feed some pigs, you can feed some goats, So I think that would be phase one. We'd skip the ice cream, of course, because they do make a good ice cream. But it's one of those places that has a cafe that no one ever seems to be in, and they always seem caught in the hop when you ask for a coffee.
Yeah,
they're like, yeah. I guess we sell those. I could do that. You know what I mean? Of course I can do that. We do have it on a menu.
Yeah. Do you know how comfortable it would be feeling eating like some sort of meat sandwich from that cafe? Knowing that it's on a farm, I'm like,
the petting zoo.
What am I eating right now?
There's 6 pigs here a minute ago. Fresh. But yeah, well, the thing that I've always enjoyed about it is like they have like goats and stuff, and so but then they always have like loads of, well, depending on the time of year you go, obviously, but they have loads of like baby goats. And they're really good.
You've sold this to me as a date. Take me. Let's do it. Bring me to fucking Streamville. That sounds amazing.
Have you ever been?
No.
I thought that would be right up your street. We should do a day of we'll book the place out for the day. You know, Bad Notions exclusive or something.
Interview some of the animals.
Yeah. But yeah, so that would be like the early.
Oh, so you're taking a whole day on it?
Early portion of the date. See, I need to be careful knowing what I know of myself, not to put myself in situations where I could get riled up.
Yeah.
So cinema's off the cards.
Well, I was going to say that was one of my things for you. If I was trying to woo you, knowing what I know about you, we would be avoiding the cinema at all costs. Unless I was able to book out the entire auditorium,
and I would be expecting.
And if I did do that, I'd be expecting a hand job at the very least, Nathan, while we're watching the trailers. Sleep through the rest of the movie. Call you in a week.
I remember going out with a girl. Like when I was like, fuck, what was it, like 16 or 17 or something? And like, I remember we went to the cinema once, and her dad dropped us off because I was like on her way. So he picked me up and he was going to drop me off. And we went in and we were just like fucking just shifting, you know what I mean? And went in, and the dad was like, whenever we got into the car after, he was like, good movie? And we were like, yeah. He's like, what was it about? And we were both like, George Clooney was in it. No, he wasn't actually. This is animated. It's just like fucking. So a tip to anybody out there, always pay attention to the first and last 10 minutes of the movie if you plan on not watching the rest of it.
Yeah.
You hear that, kids? Sorry. So yeah, I need to avoid situations that don't put me in the best light.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be only for my own benefit to come across well. It would need to be midweek, because any scenario around bars or anything like that on the weekend is too many people, and I would be unable to contain my anger.
Counterpoint, if you took me out at the weekend and we were in bars, I'm sure there'd be plenty of musicians that coming up and saying hello, and I'd be so impressed.
No, it would be annoying.
Oh.
I think it's annoying because musicians have an awful tendency, and it's something that I clocked myself like years ago, and I've tried to actively not do it, but there's an awful thing that I notice people do sometimes, which is like, so if like you and Orla walked up to me and I know you and say I don't know Orla, and they're just like, hey man, how are you?
Yeah.
And they just completely ignore the other person.
Yeah.
And it works both ways. It's like, it's and I'm a pretty influential guy, so most people would stop me, and then I'd end up not even getting to talk to you. Like it would be awful. You'd feel very threatened. But yeah, and then fuck, I don't know after that. Then like obviously food, but obviously have to take it to like some sort of a vegan place where they serve food shaped soy.
I mean, depends how many drinks I've had.
Food shaped tofu.
I might be lax after a few pints. Like, fucking give me a pizza.
Get chicken wings. Go to Nando's, get you some olives. Still one of my favourite stories. I love that so much.
What's that?
Do you remember when we went to the fucking, what was on in the OER and Nando's?
Oh yeah. The letter from Nando's.
What an amazing misjudgment on the part of a largely music and creative people based organisation to not consider a vegan option. The fucking getting Nando's trucks out the back of the OEA. And like fucking more than half the people couldn't eat anything.
Yeah. A lot of people stuck to their convictions, me not so much. It's like,
You didn't at all. Give it about 5 minutes thought and you were like, I'm very hungry though. And then, probably, I
think you have me. You have me.
you have me. Okay.
Yeah. I would definitely go on a second date.
Other way around. What was the second question? Have I answered that as well?
Well, I can do it. The second question is what. You know what? Let me answer this.
Okay.
Let me try and think how I would.
Okay.
So what? Knowing you, right? So I know the cinema's out. I think the easy option is to go for dinner because you're such a food lover, and if you had a nice restaurant experience, I think you would talk a lot about the food.
Yeah.
And become,
That's true.
Yeah. But that runs a risk. I think bad service could potentially upset the evening.
Yes, correct.
You know?
Yeah.
But I imagine you're polite to waiters. That's a big red flag if you're with somebody and they're rude to service staff.
I was gigging in the National the other night, last night, and there was a guy sitting at a table. They were sitting at the table that I have to set up at, and there was like loads of other ones free. And I walked up and so he was on a date with this girl, and it had like new relationship vibes. You know what I mean? It didn't seem very long. Like they were still like talking about their interests and things, and he was all like very like schmoozy and all fucking whatever with your one. And then I was like, hey guys, sorry, look, I was like, somebody probably should have said, but I have to sit up here. I was like, if you even just want to scooch down a couple, you don't have to move away entirely. And his whole demeanour changed. He was like, we're leaving soon. And I was like, well, that's cool, but you can leave soon down there because I have to set up here. And like, I remember just how rude he was, and just thinking like, I wonder now, has that like soured?
Yeah.
It's always something that.
Yeah,
like,
it would though.
Oh, the guy that used to manage me years ago. I remember like, whenever I was over in London or whatever, like he used to always. Maybe like if I was there for a week, he would like meet me for dinner one of the nights, and he was so like, oh Nathan, how are you, mate? You all good? Oh, like my fucking best pal. And then it just used to, and I used to always fucking call him on it, like fucking people used to come over, and like he wouldn't have been like a click your fingers guy, but like
just a dismissive.
It was
sort of.
just like I don't know. See if you're at a restaurant and somebody comes to like. Clear the glasses or clear the plates or something like that. Like, I find it mental not to acknowledge the person.
Yeah, no, you always say hello. And
just like, oh, thanks and whatever.
Yeah, thanks and hello.
And whatever. But like, he would just, I even understand to a point, especially if it's a meeting or something, maybe, to kind of carry on your conversation and maybe wait until they're about to leave and be like, thank you very much or something like that. But just like he used to just stonewall it, just be like they'd be like operating in around him, you know, and like and it just used. And I remember once just being like, man,
we're not in a rush here.
You're incredibly rude, like. And he was like, oh, he's laughing away, like. I was like, it's not really funny though, like. I was like, it's a bit shit, like. I was like, these people are on fucking probably minimum wage. You know, you're probably getting paid to be a fucking waiter in a London restaurant. You're probably fucking doing it for the fucking exposure, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's a big red flag, isn't it? Yeah. I am polite. Yeah, I do like to think of myself as polite now.
I think you would be because you've spent so long in bars and like restaurants gigging and stuff, so you would know the etiquette. I think
there is a danger though if you're too polite.
You become pushover.
Your service actually goes down, I find, because people start going like, all right, mate, there's your fucking dinner, dickhead, you know? And you're like, I've had the other side. It's like why sometimes I don't eat places that I play. And it's not from any like particular experience I've ever had, but just I have found sometimes people tend to look after you less, while they might look after you on the bill later, but like I find sometimes there's a tendency to be like, that's Nathan, he's grand. I'm just like, yeah, but I would like my food now though, please, you know.
Well, if we're not going for a restaurant, I think you love a bit of friendly competition. So some sort of something, I think like you enjoy a bit of crack.
Oh, sorry. Yes, just in general. I thought you meant like, yeah, gotcha.
Like, so if we were going on if I was trying to, you know, knowing what I know about you, I would take you to maybe an escape room. Tell me you wouldn't enjoy going on a date in an escape room.
I've never been.
And I just, you know what, I would just step back and go, get us out of here, Nathan. And you would be in your fucking element. I know for a fact. That's what would happen if we went to escape room. I'd be like, I'm just going to spark this, smoke this, and then you do what you need to
In this
do.
confined space.
Or, it doesn't have to be escape room, but I think something that doesn't take a huge amount of skill, and like bowling.
Bowling is a great shout, and it always blows me away whenever I go bowling how little people are around bowling. It's like, and even like, I mean, I don't go very regularly myself, but it's like, that is good.
I know when
crack.
we do those Mad Notions bowling nights, we're half the time we're the only ones there.
Do you remember the time that you came down bowling, but you were like coming from something and you were hungover and you were in the worst form and you came down, you were just fucking drunk.
Yeah, fuck, I can't remember. That was Phil Dalton's birthday a couple of years ago.
Was
I
that
think.
what it was?
I
Yeah, it
think
was like
so,
the day
yeah.
after and you were just really hungover, but you'd obviously like, whatever, I can't remember what it was, but you'd agreed to come down and you were like, oh, fucking come down or whatever. And you just were so knackered.
I struggle, I've said this several times, I struggle figuring out which hand to use with bowling. Both hands don't feel
yeah,
right,
yeah. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the opposite of ambidextrous? Stupid.
Just useless. Yeah. But yeah.
Tell me you wouldn't enjoy...
Competition's a good show.
Yeah, you wouldn't enjoy a wee escape room.
But it
'cause-
needs to be like, it needs to be low stakes though.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
I'm not going to our lives aren't
archery,
gonna depend
but
on
at each other.
axe throwing.
Jousting. Old Navy rules. First guy to die loses.
It's so funny, two lads who've been... I'm sure it's been a long time since you were on a date. Like, obviously...
do you know what? It was funny. I don't think I've been on a lot of dates.
I haven't.
When I started going out with Margaret, she had never been on a date ever,
Yeah.
and she'd had loads of boyfriends. Shout out. You all did a great job, and she'd never been on a date. I remember once just pretty kind of almost casually just being like, let's get it. Like, I was just like, will we have a wee date night or something? And she was like, I've never been on a date. I was like, you've never been on a date? What? And I always remember it. We went into I was playing a lot in coils at the time, and the guy that I used to get on really well, I still get on really well, but the bar's not there anymore. But with the fella that owned it, and I went in and told him the crack. I was like, she's never been on a date, whatever. And he like took like incredible care of us, and like it was
That's very sweet.
it was really lovely. Yeah, he fucking like did the table up and all, like in a way that he wouldn't probably bother doing for anybody else. Like, yeah. I just that was mad, but it's a tough one. It's different. Like, it's different when you've been with someone for. Do you remember we did that gig in the Black Box and there was that comedian that was playing next door, Tom Stade? Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He has one of my favourite jokes about the difference between first dates and married dates. He's like, first dates you're all like, fucking I'll just get a salad and whatever. And then he goes, but he's like married dates are like, I'm gonna go take a shit, you order something cheap.
I wouldn't. An instant no for me is going for dinner on a date.
It's a tough one with the teeth. And
It's more about the speed and the gluttony and how I approach my all my meals in general. I don't give a good account of myself while I'm eating, as you have witnessed several times.
Yeah. It's like you think someone's going to take it away. But yeah, it's funny. Margaret kind of eats like that, but it's funny because she actually said to me like later in hindsight that like she made such a conscious effort when she realized how slow that I eat to maybe it only lasted about a week, but like to just like take her time and all. I remember she said that to me, and I was like, "No, just fucking eat. It's grand."
See, what happens to me, I let myself get so hungry that I would literally eat it out of the pan before putting it in the bowl.
Aye, yeah. It is a tough one, and then as well,
and I can eat in a boojum and
I've seen you do it in almost record time. I imagine. Yeah. And it's you also have to think then about like how messy it is. I am so messy eating as well.
Here,
like, I get it.
I watched a guy who does like he's one of these big Yank guys who does like food eating challenges all around the world. So he travels his YouTube channel is him traveling all around the world, finding cafes at the one I watched was he was in Belfast at Build-A-Burger.
Okay.
And they have a fucking huge burger on a big massive sourdough. It's like the challenge.
Yeah.
And he was
wasteful.
like, I'm here in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I'm going to take on the Build-A-Burger Big Bastard Burger. And I don't know what it was called. But
He's
it
a
was,
Kerry lad.
but he fucking done it, right? First of all, like, it comes in a big, massive tray. And he takes the bun and puts the bun to the side, first of all. So he has a Diet Coke and bun here. And he just starts shoveling the meat and the chips and all in his hand like this here. And then at the end, he finishes all that. He takes the sourdough and starts dipping it into the Diet Coke and eating it last because apparently the bread just will fill you up, you know. But he beat the record anyway. There's a big round of applause and he's like chatting away and he's like, shout out to the former champion there. And then like the camera spins around, just this wee like meek Belfast looking lad in a wee grey tracksuit hoodie. And I was like, how the fuck did he do that in 7 minutes? And he was like, oh, cheers man, no bother. He absolutely, like, your man absolutely annihilated his time. He was like surrounded by all his mates and they were like, sorry lad, that's your big moment, that's your big thing that you achieved gone.
I saw a thing on Reddit the other day of it was like one of those like next level, I think, subreddits or something, and it was really old footage of a guy. So the caption was such and such. It was basically the record was the highest dive into like a very shallow pool, sort of a thing. I think there's a name for it, but and it was like, and here's footage of his jump to equal the record. And then in the comments, somebody like kind of lent a bit of context to it or whatever, and basically said that it was like, it's one of those, it's actually an amazingly well shot thing because it starts like in on his face and it zooms out and out and out, and then you get a scale of how far he's going to jump, and you're like, it's fucking disgusting, right? And so someone in the comments is like, to equal the record, like, why not just go a half a foot more and fucking, you know, beat it? And apparently it was out of respect for how hard and terrifying it is to do that he didn't want to beat the record of the guy that did it.
That's fucking...
So he just equaled it just to be like, I'm not going to make you do this again, just to get a... imagine just one fucking inch higher than each other constantly, just like, oh, fuck off.
You don't want to get into a tit for tat in that. Like.
Not in the base jumping into a fucking pool of water, fucking a paddling pool, but...
The other way to interpret that question was how would you give the best impression of yourself to me? Like if it was all like, if you weren't considering me, like you're like, I'm trying to impress this person. I want to give a good indication of who I am. I'm taking them on a date. What are you doing?
Years ago, I would have said I would have brought you to maybe not a gig, but like something where I would have had to sing or something.
Oh, really?
Well, I said years ago, like that's what I would have went for. But like I don't give a good account of myself.
Yeah. So in your
imagine you ask me for a song on the first day, I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
I'm off. I'm not working. No, I was going to ask you, like, up until this point, am I aware that you're a musician and a singer?
Oh, I love brought it up.
Because you know what, it might be a nice good move if you were like, just don't bring it up, and then you just happen to kind of be swanning past
the Ron
stage
Swanson, you know,
on the way back from the toilets, and you just kind of step on the stage, and I'll be sitting there down at my wee table, just going.
Well, the first time I met Margaret, I was gigging, and
mine this.
And she actually told, well, as she loves to tell anybody anyone who hasn't reacted quick enough to the question of if they want to hear the story will hear it, because I imagine the answer is generally no, but she does enjoy telling this story. But part of it is that I was gigging in the Goats too, and I was gigging, and she likes to say that she thought I was an absolute arsehole, but then I started singing, and she was like, "Oh, he's quite good though, to be fair." And then
doesn't give you not an inch, Nathan.
To be fair though, like I was.
What age were you?
I was being a 20.
You were almost definitely an arsehole.
Absolutely, assuredly an arsehole.
Yeah.
But I would have said, I probably would have said that years ago. I think
a show, any type of show, whether it be like a gig show, play, a musical, anything, even a film, like I think they're all good things because that gives you a bit at the start to chat, and then you go and have a break, and you both digest the same thing, and then you can go and chat about it afterwards. You know.
I think another positive upshot of that. Which is not why it's not how you frame the question, but I find it would be a good way for me. You see, you've set this up in a very positive, like, how can I win you over sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the way I would look at it is, I'm going to bring you to some things to see how you react
to
find out what sort of a person you are.
Right, you
and
twisted cunt.
And so
put me through hell.
So the cinema would be one,
right?
You know, where like if you just start constantly talking,
or I whip the phone out.
Yeah, which hilariously is how Margaret was carrying on whenever we started going out. But you know, it's just a testament to how great she is. But that I eventually managed to negotiate that down to just the airplane mode at the very least, please. But yeah, and then like gigs, same. Like if you're like, that was one thing I remember being really. It sounds like so small, but like it's obviously like situational for people. But like obviously, gigs and stuff like that are very important to me. By virtue of what we do, and like I remember being so glad the first time me and Margaret went to anything like that together that I never had to ask her to stop talking. You know what I mean? She just was the same as me and was just like glued to it, and I was like, oh, thank God, because like that's a hard thing to get out of someone if they just don't have any, like if that just isn't their world and they don't care enough.
Do you know, you just reminded me of something there. I was about to say, like, me and Norla never really went on a date because we were housemates first, and it was all very complicated because there was, you know. But Duke Special was down gigging in Galway. It was over 10 years ago now. Right. And like I think Rory Nellis was down playing in the band, and Phil Dalton and
with
Walter,
Duke?
and Leakey and all. They were all down. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go to this here, and I messaged them anyway. And Orla was a massive Duke Special fan. So we were just living here. I said, do you want to come? My mates are like in the band. We'll go down. It was down at the Roisin Dove. And I think it was Phil or Rory kind of just was like, so are you two going out? And we were like, no, just housemates at the time. But like everything about it felt like a date, apart from, I think the two of us were in denial.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, we're just here. We live around the corner. Just come down to see some music. But I was in denial about it. I'd say she was in denial about it at that stage, you know.
But were you in denial about it? Or were you hoping it was a date, but you didn't want to call it a date?
No, because that was early enough days, I think. But it was just it was the first kind of, I think that would have been our first
solo outing
together, you know.
Yeah. It's a gig's always a good shout for sure. But yeah, and then to give the best account of myself in terms of like, which is, am I right in thinking like, so the framing is like showing off essentially?
Just like
you're like how to.
Yeah, you're trying to give an indication of who you are, I guess.
Right. So
and what you're into.
I would cook for you.
Yeah.
Which is something that I did with Margaret. Very low effort one day. Just she was hungry, and I was like,
you struggled like that's the thing that you mentioned you struggled with when she had COVID, because like how you said how you show love is cooking for her and she couldn't taste anything. You're like, are we going to survive this?
But when she went, it's funny. It's a double-edged sword actually. I'm now remembering the time that the first time I actually did cook for her. Well, I wasn't even cooking. So the first time that I ever made something for Margaret, I really enjoy. I don't know if I think you have had one of my ridiculously packed full salads. And I don't think I even picked salad like for any reason other than I think maybe because I remember I was living in Bangor at the time and I was constantly eating, like I was gigging all the time, and I was just essentially my routine was sleep very late, gig, and then eat some shite, drink until I fall asleep, and then wake up again was essentially my routine for the while. So I think I might have genuinely been like, I couldn't do a burger or a fucking whatever. I was like, I'll make us a salad. And Margaret later told me that like she had essentially like never had a salad. She was just like it wouldn't be like what she would go for. And so I made like it was like lettuce, cucumber, just guessing from what I normally make. It was like lettuce, cucumber, tomato, olives, fucking normally like a bit of feta or something, goat's cheese, there was fucking eggs, there was like it was just so full of stuff, and like I handed it to her and she was just like, it was like I had handed her like fucking nuclear waste, you know what I mean? She was just like, the fuck am I meant to do with that?
That's the way my dad would be. Well, he's actually kind of he's changing up his diet now. He's eating a load of fruit with custard over it for his lunch, and he looked so miserable.
I like the custard though.
No, I didn't ask. I was like, why is there hot custard over grapes and apples? I was like, no wonder you're miserable. You know what you just reminded me of there? The few times that you have cooked for me. Have you ever seen it's like a gif or like a video of the dog being offered the cupcake? And the dog is like this here. It's been trained they pretty much put the cupcake under the dog's nose and the dog's like,
yes.
That's what I feel like when you cook me food, because I'm just like red, because I'm like, yeah, but the horse is I'm fucking starving, and then I have to sit there and listen to you explain how you made it and what's all in it, and I'm like, I can see the lettuce, I'm looking to eat it here, just hurry the fuck up.
The reason I was going to say that it's a double-edged sword with me, and maybe the only reason I might veer from it, is that. So that time, I think she didn't say anything about it, but she kind of like soldiered on, and like later told me that she was like, "What the fuck is this?" But the second time, again, it was like a quick like, let's grab something before we head out, sort of a vibe. And I was like, I'll make. I really enjoy, one of my favorite like pasta dishes is pesto, or like pesto pasta, and so I was like, it'll be quick, takes 2 seconds to make. Literally, it takes as long as it takes to cook pasta. I was like, perfect, grand. Stuck it on. She was like, what is it? I was like, oh, don't worry. I was like, you'll love it. It's fucking incredible. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's a very bright green sauce. So
I think most people know what pesto is.
Just somebody. Well, Margaret didn't. So
fair point.
Yeah, the whole premise of this story is that someone didn't know what pesto was. What kind of a fucking idiot? So handed it to her, and she was like, obviously a bit further on in the relationship at this point, so it had less of a problem of telling me what the fuck is this. And she was like, what is this? I was like, it's pasta. And she's like, I know that. What's the green stuff? I was like, pesto. And she was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, it's really, have you had it before? She was, and then she was like, do I sound like I've had it before? But I
often ask, what the fuck is this with things that I've already had?
but she wouldn't try it.
Right.
That is a sure way to end our first date. If it had been our first date, I might have absolutely lost the bat. There's nothing frustrates me. I don't mind if somebody doesn't like something, but if somebody won't try something, that fucking just...
My dad,
especially if I've made it for them, it's different if I'm just like, here's a packet of crisps.
There was a big platter of sandwiches on the kitchen table when I came in on Saturday, and I was like, "Oh, your dad had a few ones round. And they were playing cards last night, which they used to do loads when I was a kid. There was always cards being played in the house." And his mum's like, these are just leftovers. And then Dad came back from work and he's like, sorry again, Maggie, about them leftover sandwiches. I can't tell you. When I say some of these lads are fussy, a ham sandwich is literally a slice of ham between two dry bits of bread. And I was like, imagine getting to that age in life. And that is what your idea of a sandwich is. It's like, fussy eaters and picky eaters.
It's a tough one, man. It is a tough one, like, because... It's funny because like there's like two sides to it, because like one part of you is you're kind of being like, I want you to experience how amazing I know this will be, but some people are so plain in their eating that it's
that's it, yeah. Like everybody, like, taste is subjective as well.
But
like I used to, my hard line was, it's food for a reason because it's delicious.
yeah. But it just, for me, it suggests whatever about like I don't honestly. Doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't like something, but it suggests to me anyway, rightly or wrongly, a closed-mindedness not to try something, and that really fucking annoys me. So yeah, I don't know. I would probably go cooking though. Yeah. I think that is the bit. I think.
Well, you know the way to my heart anyway.
Yeah, for sure. What about you? To give you the best account of yourself to woo me.
I think.
Remember now, a good wank relies on this.
I think,
and I've had years of practice, mate. I really know what I'm doing.
I think a show of some sort, maybe like a play, or like
wouldn't be a bad show.
I know it's so boring, but I do think a cinema is like, because
it's a safe bet.
You haven't seen something, you get to experience it together and then dissect it afterwards, which is always the most fun part of going to the cinema for me.
Yeah.
Apart from watching the movie.
Yeah.